to bring the shopping in. Hello Chappets, this is Hit the Road. In this game, players are responsible for a group of survivors that have survived a zombie apocalypse, and it's your responsibility to get them to safety at the coast, by the beach, because you've been told that it's safe there and there are no zombies there. Each round, players are going to be bidding resources so they can decide which route they're going to go down. Because if you're the first player and you bidded the most resources, it's only you going to go down Route 69, no one else is, and they have to take all the other routes. Along the way you'll pick up resources, you may have an encounter, you might find some zombies, or you might find something very useful. If after all these encounters your team is the only team alive, you have won the game. But if many of you have made it to the beach, then it's a case of who has the most points. So you're saying, how do I play this? Well, I'll show you. And then you're saying, should I have this game in my collection? I'll tell you after that. So like normal, players will choose their colours at the beginning of the game, and you will get one meeple and a team of 4 survivors, and you'll have this little totem which will go onto this tracker here, which will track your bidding and your turn order for each round. You'll also receive 4 resources of each type. You'll get 4 gas. Gas is used for driving away from zombies if you're ever in a hot spot. You'll have adrenaline, which will save you from death or maybe help you give that extra burst to kill an extra zombie. And then you'll have ammunition, and ammunition is used to shoot zombies from a distance, which is very, very useful. And all of these resources can be used to bid for position on the track. Next up, you're going to have to create a route, and this is done with a deck of cards. And you will create this deck of cards from 3 different decks. There's this deck 1, which is very easy cards. These have a lot of resources on them. They also have very few zombie encounters. They might have a few events and give you a chance to pick up some tokens, which will pay off later on in the adventure. You'll have your number 2 deck, which will have fewer resources and more zombie encounters and more events, which will take away life and life points from you. And then you have your number 3 deck here. This will be the worst. This will have lots of victory points, lots of zombies, lots of zombie hordes as well, and events which will deteriorate your group pretty rapidly. Now, depending on how many players are playing this game will depend on how the deck is constructed. If you're playing with 4 players, you would just take 4 cards out from each of these 3 decks and shuffle them individually, and then place your 3s on the bottom, your 2s on top, and your 1s on top of that. If you're playing with 3 or less players, you will be asked to remove these special cards which have little kind of poker, king, queen, jack and ace marked on the corners, and you remove them from the game. Then you'll construct the routes. Now, if there's a 4-player game, you will construct 4 routes of 2 cards. If there's a 3 or less player game, you will construct 3 routes of 2 cards, and there'll be some not optional, but some other tweaks with the rules depending on if there's 2 players or if you're playing by solo. This is one route, this is another route, this is another route, and this is another route. You're going to be bidding to go down whichever route that you want to be. If you're the bidder that bids the most, you get to choose first. At the beginning of the game, you will randomly distribute the order tokens. So who goes first, second, third, and fourth. Afterwards, throughout the game, the order will be decided by this bidding track. On your turn, you can bid any amount as long as it's higher than what it was previously, or you can pass. But you have to be careful, because if everyone passes consecutively, the round is over. So let's say yellow here. They can decide to pass or bid an amount. You can even bid 0. So yellow will bid 0. Red decides that they're going to bid 0 as well, which means that they will still be after yellow, but they'll still not pay any resources. Blue decides that they're going to bid 1 and jumps in front. And then green being a devious little monkey, he decides he wants to bid 4 because he definitely wants to be first and he wants to put pressure on the yellow and the red here. It's back to yellow. Yellow decides to pass. Red decides, no, I'm not going to pass. I'm going to pay 2 resources. Blue then decides, ooh, I want to go second, so I'm going to go 3. I could go 5, but I'm going to go 3 so I can get my route. Yellow again, being prudent, says pass. Oh, green says pass beforehand. And then yellow, then red, then blue, and then the round is over. Then you will redistribute the order tokens depending on the track here. So green is now the first player, yellow is now the last player, red is now the third player, and blue is the second player. You then pay the resources required. So green would pay 4 resources of any type. He could pay 2 gas and 2 ammunition, or 4 gas, or however they wish to pay. Again, blue would pay 3, red would pay 2, and yellow would pay 0. So now that's decided, the first player will decide which route they want to take. Now looking at the 4 routes here, the green player is deciding that he wants this bottom one here. It looks nice. This first card, you always start from the left and work your way to the right, and that works with the cards as well. So at the beginning here, I will recuperate 2 ammunition, which goes into my reserve. It also says that I actually get an extra person, so I add an extra person to my team. Woohoo, let's get that. And I will get a victory point if this card is in my hand at the end of the game. And then it goes into your hand, or in front of you face down. And then you do the card on the right. And this card here tells me that I would get 4 gas, so I take 4 gas. It also tells me that I have to take a token with the steering wheel on it. Now there's a selection of tokens here, and they all do different things in the game. For example, this steering wheel is for this bus. And if I find another card later on in the game with the bus on it, I can actually use the bus to mow down hordes. And so I'll be fighting just random zombies. And there you go. That's in my hand. I am done. Green is done. Then next up we have the blue player, who's number 2. They want a route which is easy as well, so they're going to do the same here. They're going to take the 2 adrenaline. They will take one of these toxic tokens, which again will appear on another card later on, and you can discard this to get some kind of bonus. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It also gives you 2 victory points at the end, and then again 2 resources of bullets, 1 gas, and a victory point there. Player 3 now has this wonderful choice here. Let's say player 3 picks this one. They recuperate the 3 ammunition, and then they have a zombie encounter of 3. And zombie encounter you will have to do immediately. You take the amount of zombie meeple as marked on the card, so in this case 3, and then the combat can begin. At any time, even at the beginning, you can dispense 2 gas tokens to get in your car and drive away, and therefore you don't have to deal with those zombies, but you don't get to take that card, and you don't get to take that card. If you do decide to do the combat, you start by shooting from a distance. You can do this 1 time at the beginning of your combat. To do that, you will need to spend 1 of your ammunition tokens. That will give you 2 dice to roll. And again, for every other token that you spend of ammunition, it'll give you another 2 dice to roll. Let's go through the die results. So if you roll a blank, it does nada, zip, and nada. If you roll a target like that, that means that you can kill a zombie. So if you roll 3 dice and you get 2 results like this, you can kill off 2 zombies. Simple, huh? This means that you have an adrenaline rush. If you have any adrenaline, you can spend 1 adrenaline to kill a zombie. Bonus! But this symbol means that a zombie has killed one of your people. Unless you spend an adrenaline, then you can keep them alive. Otherwise, you lose them. This symbol means that you kill a zombie. And again, if you spend an adrenaline, you can kill an additional zombie. So just 1 result like that, I could kill 2 zombies. After shooting from a distance, you will have to do hand-to-hand combat because the zombies have arrived on top of you. You will have 1 dice for every person in your team. So 5 people means 5 dice. and then you will roll these again, trying to eliminate the zombies. So let's say the red player uses 2 ammunition to get 4 dice to roll to attack from a distance, and they get this result. They get 1 hit, 1 death, and an adrenaline if they need to use it. So this will immediately kill a zombie. This would immediately kill one of the survivors, unless the red player spends an adrenaline to keep that player alive, which they do. And then this means that if they spent another adrenaline, they could kill another zombie, but they're not going to. And now we go to the hand-to-hand round. This will either end either nicely or terribly. Nicely would be all the zombies will get killed. Terribly will be all your party will be killed. You will take a dice for each member of your party, and then you will roll them. And whatever the result is whatever you can do. So in this case, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, so I can kill 2 zombies quite easily. But let's imagine something else. Let's imagine I rolled this and I had no adrenaline left. I'd kill 1 zombie easily, but one of the zombies would have killed one of my team. I would then have to re-roll to continue fighting. This time I'll be rolling 4 dice because I've only got 4 people left in my party. And you keep going, as I said, until either all the zombies are gone or all your party is gone. So again, I've got 2 dead there. So I killed 1 zombie, but I lost 2 people at the same time. Once every player has had a turn and taken a road, you reset the roads, you place out 4 new ones, and then you start the bidding again, and then you start going down the roads again. Along the way, you may encounter some hordes of zombies which have this red number, and they have some skulls marked on top. That's the number of dice that you replace from black to red. So if you're attacking with 5 dice and it's got 2 red skulls above it, you're rolling 3 black and 2 red. The red dice are a little bit more unforgiving, and you'll use them whenever there is a horde. And as you can see, 2 of the faces will be death, and this is a death that you cannot come back from. You've got no adrenaline to spend. The game will get harder and harder, and eventually someone will be eliminated. When that happens, these keys will come out. Now, if 1 player is eliminated and you're down to 3 players, you will place this key on the bottom route. Okay? If someone wants to take this route, they will have to pay 2 resources extra to take it. And then if there's another player eliminated, so there's only 2 players left in a 4-player game, you will place out this 4 key, which means that the bottom route will be 4 resources extra, and this one will be 2 resources extra. Again, this will change if you're playing 3 players, 2 players, or solo. There'll be variants to explain how they work. If there's only 1 player left, they immediately win. Congratulations. But if after the 8th round there are more than 1 player still playing, then you have to do a tally of scores. First, you'll distribute these 4 cards out. You'll get a card if you have the most adrenaline, card for the most gas, and the card for the most bullets, and you also get a card for the most people left in your team. Each of these cards is 3 points victories each, and then you add up all the victory cards that you've collected, and the player with the most points then will win. So, to sum up my review of Hit the Road, it is a board game that every zombie-loving fan should interject some imagination into. Because at its core, this game is pretty empty. And as players, we need to project onto this game to make this game work. Now, I'm probably going to sound very negative in this review, and I don't mean to be, because I'm going to say straight now, this game is an 8 out of 10. It is a good game. You need to play this with the right group of people who have the right kind of detriment. And again, you need to play at the maximum count of 4 players, because that's when this game comes alive. With 3 players, it's not so bad. With 2 players, the game sucks. And the 1 player solo mode, and I'm a 1 player solo player, I haven't even played it, because the idea of just choosing a road, and again, these roads, these cards are going to be, some of them are going to be turned over so you don't know what they are. It doesn't appeal to me because there's not that bidding aspect in the banter with the other players. So the solo mode, I'm going to leave alone and concentrate on just saying that 4 players, this game shines. Let's go on to the rant. Okay, the rant about the art and design of the game. Okay, we have the box art, which is very reflective of the 1950s, and so is this little board here, and these tokens are not too bad as well. And again, the bottle caps. How much does this remind you of playing Fallout? That reminds me of playing Fallout. The backs of the 3 types of cards, again, it reminds me of Fallout. It is, you know, really, really nice art. And then we go to something completely not connected. The artwork itself on the cards resembles more like The Walking Dead, a comic book in colour. It's very beautiful, but it just doesn't kind of gel with the box art that we've had. And then we move over to the wooden meeples. You thought that they could have done something better than the wooden meeples. I mean, for starters, even little standouts like the ones in Dead of Winter would have been better, just to have some kind of character, but they're blank and generic. And the zombies themselves, they should have had zombie meeples, maybe. But, yeah. Again, but the amount of detail on the art, so like the player tokens, they're double-sided. You know, they're really, really interesting. Look, it has a safety pin on the back there, and that's a credit card with a signature on it. That's really, really cool and ingenious. The wooden dice I'm not too keen of. I prefer my dice to be a bit more solid. These are very light and fluffy. It's like throwing a feather in the air. And then we get to the rulebook. The rulebook is very well written, but again, it looks like something else. It doesn't look like it belongs in this game because of the art style. But it is written very, very well, and it's very, very well laid out. Apart from, as I said, the art style doesn't match the box and the bottle tops, which doesn't match the front of the cover art, which doesn't match the it's just a little thing, but that bugged me. And then finally, this is my final kind of bug. I think this is going to be my final bug. Is the box interior. Yes, this game came with baggies, and I didn't expect that from Space Cowboys, because all of their other games come with these really fantastic box inserts. Splendor comes with a wonderful box insert, which is perfect, and then you have Time Stories, which comes with an excellent kind of box insert, which is wow. And again, the last game was Final Touch, which is just 2 decks of cards, but it has a fantastic insert, and this game didn't have an insert. Yeah. And I totally forgot the back of the box has a different game marked on it, which is really intriguing. It's original. It's some racing game. And last but not least, the bonus cards at the end of the game, if you look on the back of them, they're very, very interesting. Can you name these games? But in general, the game plays really well. It's very intuitive. You can play this game with practically anybody because it is in the players that play the game. It's not too complicated, the rules for the combat and for what you have to do. It's bidding. You negotiate with the other players, and then you're having to play out what you pick, which is fine, and it works really well. In comparison to other games like this, for example, Ink and Gold, where it is the interaction like that, again, it's pushing your luck, and it's, you know, regarding what the other players are doing. This is heavier than Ink and Gold. Ink and Gold's very light and very quick. This is heavier, and it stays on the table a bit longer. In regards to if you're playing a 4-player game, the game can last an hour. I played a 2-player game, and the game lasted 15 minutes due to the fact that bad luck of the dice killed all my team pretty quickly, and I didn't manage my resources that well as well, so that didn't count. But playing this game can go on for about an hour. And then there's the player elimination. If you're not into player elimination, you might not enjoy this game, because again, it depends when you get eliminated. A lot of people seem to get eliminated near the end when we start going to the deck 3 of the cards, and that may bug you. But for me, it's not too bad. It's not too long. But again, when you're playing the game and someone's having a double encounter of zombies, you have got that waiting time to see what they're going to do, and you wait for them to go, okay, should I spend an adrenaline in there? Yeah. No, I'm gonna run. No, I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna shoot from a distance. I'm gonna use 1, to... I'm probably dragging this out longer than it should be. But if people are dragging the game out due to the fact that they don't know what they're going to do, and then they got another counter of zombies, the game can go a bit dry. But if you're having fun and you're making zombie noises, or maybe you put a time limit on them as well, you know, say, well, if you don't decide what you're going to do in a minute, the zombies are going to attack you hand to hand, and then you've got no choice. You can't shoot, you can't run away, you got to deal with it, or you can run away. But as a game, it works really well. As I said, with 4 players. It's a shame it doesn't go up to 5 players or 6 players. That would be more interesting for me, I think. And then people get left with really bad choices. But as it is, 4 players on the table. It's longer than in King Gold, so it might outlive its welcome a bit because it is the same thing over and over again. But luckily, it's only 8 times. So there you go, Hit the Road, a very beer and pretzels type of board game, or for you English, a tea and cake kind of board game, or for you French, a beer and croissant, or cacahuète, c'est pas. But it's a very kind of bluffing, push your luck game. It's not that light, but it is pretty light. It's not as light as Zombie Dice. So if you like pushing your luck and you like having a laugh with your buddies about zombies and stuff, and you want to see if you can be the last man standing, this is definitely a game for you. Otherwise, Zombie Dice is quicker. It's 10 minutes. It's fun as well, but it's 10 minutes instead of an hour. And there you go. Hit the road. Hit the road, Jack. So until next time, ciao for now. And don't forget, you don't have to buy every single game out there. No, you just need to own some good ones.
When you first start dating a girl, you don't want to like fully throw out your nerd flag and show exactly. I mean, she'd been to my apartment, she'd seen the like hundreds of graphic novels that I had, but she had no idea. So I would always pick every Saturday.
Here's my nerd flag.
So we're like, you know, just like 6 of us sitting around a table, you know, playing Dungeons and Dragons, eating pizza, having a blast. The door opens up, and here comes my now wife. Just knows that she's gonna be like catching me with some other girl, and she did. All of us kind of turn and look. I was like, hey.
We need a t-shirt for this nerd flag thing.
Yeah, I'm going to go and have a look, see if I can find my nerd flag. I've got one over there.
Does he have a flag now?
Yes, I have my
Nerd
flag
flag?
now. You invite your girlfriend back to your apartment. You say, oh, would you like to listen to some music? I've got this really cool album. Yes, it's the best sound effects from the BBC. It's got the TARDIS on it as well. TARDIS is number 3 on here. Wow.